Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining and being very quick for joining. I just want to do a quick sound check just to make sure that everybody can hear me. So if you can just respond back in the little chat button there going, yes, I can hear, that'd be great. But we'll take a few minutes before we start just to let everybody come in. We'll just give it another minute just to wait for everybody to come in, and then we'll make a start. All right, I think this is as good of time as any to actually start. So hello and welcome to today's webinar. But effectively, as some of you may know, my name is Brett Lee Price. I'm the cloud security vendor manager here at Ingram Micro. And today we'll be going over, well, as you can see on the screen, we're going to be going over zero trust security. And as we go through to the agenda, it's quite a flat agenda. Basically, again, just an introduction and welcome, but also we'll be going over Cisco Duo and particularly the zero trust technologies, as well as just touching on later on how you can actually purchase that. Now, I just want to flag that zero trust technology is becoming increasingly important to actually look at, especially now. I think over the last 12 to 24 months, we've been shown what happens with a decentralized workforce. It means when the traditional way of doing perimeter security no longer really applies anymore. And with technologies like VPN, well, they're nice, they do the job for the time being, but they're quickly becoming outdated with new types of technologies needing to be really implemented in order to kind of secure different people as they working from home. And so zero trust is becoming a really big thing that a lot of people do need to be across. And so I'm very glad to have Jason with me. So on the next slide, Jason Tedesco. I'll let Jason introduce himself, but it's really great to have you with us today, Jason.
Yeah, thank you. So, Jason Tedesco, I am based in the nation's capital of Canberra, and I've just recently joined the Duo sales team. So, I've been an engineer, I think, for since out of university, working in cybersecurity. So, some people say I've joined the dark side. The salespeople say I've joined the light side, and I'll just say I've joined the green side for now. So thanks for that warm welcome, and thanks for hosting and organizing this to the Ingram team and to Brett as well. All right. I don't
All yours.
Anthony's on the call. It's all mine. All right. So we commonly hear, hey, let's keep it interactive, let's keep it open. I know that can be hard. I might ping Brett on how many people we have on the call as well, if you've got a count there, but
Yep, we've got 11 people.
okay, wow, 11's easy, right? Like easier. To make it more interactive. So what I'd like you to do is, if you could now, I'm using Slido. Slido allows me to prompt for some questions to make it interactive for those people not using the Q&A or not in a place where they can come off mute or chat and ask questions. But happy for you to provide, ask questions, tell me if you know this stuff already. Let me know the direction that you'd want to go in because we can pivot relatively easy. With 11 people, it makes it even easier. I've started, hopefully you've all joined there, but I would like to reach out to all of you and just learn more about what you want to get out of today, what you want to see. I know we talked about Mission Impossible, which is a good title for Zero Trust. And I've got a large chunk of what is Zero Trust, but if you guys know that and girls know that already, we can pivot easily. So this is a word cloud, so just feel free to type in anything. Brett, if you're on, just do the same thing, throw in an answer to make sure I've got it working as well. There we go. Was that you, Brett? My Zero Trust?
That was me.
All right. All right. Yell out if anyone's having some troubles joining the Slido, that is. Hey, you can come off and say, "Hey, I hate Slido." That's perfectly fine as well. All right, it's pretty bleak out there, or brink. So I'm going to swap. I'll change to the next one. We've already got a reply there. So just interested in what your role is, what your focus is as well. So if you're in sales, if you're a solutions architect, whatever you role is today. It just helps me formulate the conversation or how to articulate the slides a bit better. So yep, we've got some techos. So he definitely would like some more technical detail about Duo, I imagine as well. Keep them rolling in. Keep them rolling. All right, we've got a quiet bunch. All right, yell out if that's not working. We've got two responses. Scan the QR code. You can do all this from your phone, which makes it a lot easier. I've got a few of these. It'll make it more fun if you do participate. So please join in. All right. Without further ado, this is all about you. Heavy focus. So 1 year on us offer. Another question. Come on. Have you heard of the Duo 1 year on us offer? I'm not going to leave this up for too long. So this is good. It's good and bad because I'm going to tell you about it. But I was hoping a lot of partners did know about it. So let's jump in. So the 1 year on us program with Duo. So this is to recognize, I guess, the value from you as our Cisco partners. So this is an incentive for you to go hunt and develop new business opportunities as well as reactivate inactive accounts. So there's a time cap on that. The account can't or there's a 3 year time cap on that. And so this is to help you drive new business for us. But what it values, or the value prop to you as a partner, is that we're going to give the customer, 1 year on us, so you can essentially drive higher margins and have a more profitable business by selling Duo. So getting quick, there are some limits. There's a lot of detail on what you need to do. So minimum 500 seat license. It's got to be a 3 year deal. This offer is expiring on 29th of January 2022. So how do you get in on this? Just engage your Cisco account manager and ensure that if you are hunting or driving that opportunity, just do a deal reg with the AM and you're all set. So I want to talk a little bit about Zero Trust. I might fly through this. Some of you have probably got WebEx or Zoom fatigue because everyone in the marketplace is talking about Zero Trust at the moment. This is an interesting slide. You can see that little annotation I made on the far left-hand side. So Zero Trust has been around for an extremely long time. So I read Wikipedia last night, and it was actually in 1994 that Zero Trust was actually first coined by a gentleman named Stephen Paul Marsh. He did a doctoral thesis on computational security at the University of Stirling. So it wasn't, we commonly hear it was what was his name? John Kindervag from Forrester. But we just say now he repopularized it because, as you can see, it's been around for a long time. For me personally, I've been working in public sector patch, so looking after Department of Defence and our federal agencies here in Canberra. Why I feel zero trust is prevalent today is really comes down to NIST. So the NIST zero trust draft was published in about 2018. We've seen that go final sometime in 2019. Once we've seen that go final, you've seen US government agencies have a clear methodology that soon flow down, I believe, into public sector, into Australia as well. And this is where I feel more conversations came around. We had an architecture, so to speak, to follow, but there's a lot out there. So Forrester came up with one. NIST has got the zero trust architecture, and Gartner. So for me personally, the NIST document resonates with me the most because it's not trying to boil the ocean, but it's hard, right? It's look at this diagram. It's so abstract. So I'm going to throw out the question out there. Please use Slido. What does zero trust represent to you? Are we talking about is it um, technology? Is it strategy? Is it an architecture? Is it a product? What are your thoughts? So this is a word cloud. So just type in anything. Trust nobody. I was actually thinking about X-Files today, just before giving this presentation. I feel like my Slido's breaking, or there we go. You can almost put them two words together: trust nobody and always verify. I reckon that's perfect. All right, I'm gonna move on. Shoot me down. Opinion of Jason Tedesco. So the zero trust is kind of a term of evolving set of cybersecurity paradigms that have come together. So it's moved away from a static network-based perimeter approach to focus on users, assets, and resources. So we know this, we said it before. So trust is neither binary nor permanent. So trust nobody and always verify. I love that because it fits directly into here, right? So why did zero trust come about? So zero trust is a response to, I guess, the enterprise network trends. Brett mentioned some of these at the start. BYOD, cloud assets, SaaS, the hybrid workforce that we're experiencing today. So we see enterprises focus has moved away from protecting network zones or network segments or even network locations to protecting protecting access to the resource and the resources. So zero trust, what to think about. So where is your new border? So what defines your new perimeter in an enterprise? Is it this device, right? That could be a BYOD device. So think of the perimeter as being any place where you make an access control decision. So we've totally moved away from the classic defense in depth. We still use defense in depth, but if you imagine the castle with the moat around, we've definitely moved away because the new perimeter could be anything. So ownership is not a control. So there's no implicit trust should be granted to assets or user accounts based solely on their physical or network location or based on asset ownership alone. Authentication and authorization, so both of the subject and of the device, are discrete functions performed before a session to an enterprise resource is established. So the zero trust approach. I'm going to dive straight in. So I'm going to skip over this for time, but there's three key things I want to get across. So when you're approaching zero trust, so number one, establish trust in every access request, no matter where it comes from. You must provide secure access to your applications and across any network. And we need to extend trust to support a modern enterprise. Again, I was reading through the NIST zero trust document, and there was a chapter in there about the threats associated with zero trust architecture. One of the interesting ones I took away was the threat around stolen credentials and insider threat. And as you can imagine, I included that because it's helps out with the MFA story, which is all about duo. So what do attackers target in a zero trust model? So they do target stolen credentials, and there's still that risk of insider threat. So NIST highlights this, and I've got written down here a quote from this document. Attackers may use phishing, social engineering, or a combination of attacks to obtain credentials of valuable accounts. So valuable may mean different things based on the attacker's motivation. So the zero trust architecture is there to reduce risk and prevent any compromised accounts or assets from moving laterally throughout the network. Talk about that more in regards to moving laterally or lateral movement when you connect to a VPN. But I want to ask a question, do you use a personal password manager? So for your own accounts, all right? So yes, no. Um, like me, I use actually two. I use LastPass and I use Bitwarden. And there's some passwords I actually don't store in either of them. All right, I still use the good old memory bank up here. I don't want to store some of my banking passwords in the cloud. LastPass did have a breach a number of years ago. Actually, I forget what they did compromise, but yeah, fantastic. So thanks for your responses. Great, we've got four people, but yeah, password managers are important because they mitigate against password reuse. I'm going to touch on that coming up shortly. But another question to throw out there: do you have access to a corporate-owned password manager? So I'm talking about you're working for company XYZ. Do they issue and say, "Hey, you need to use a password manager"? Cisco doesn't actually. So Cisco doesn't. They don't enforce it. I've recently joined Duo. I've been with Duo for 2 months. Duo, I have a Duo laptop. That Duo laptop is heavily locked down, very heavily locked down, and I must use. They use LastPass as a corporately owned password manager. So there we go. So there's a mix, and could be valid reasons why you don't, right? But we can go into that a little bit later. So password reuse, why I sort of bring up password managers is that they've been heavily and keep being compromised through data breaches. I'm not going to go through, have I been pwned? My counterpart told me never to show this slide because every security person has shown this, everyone knows about it, but if you don't, type your email address in there. And this is why we don't reuse passwords, and we use things like password managers. It's very easy to download passwords sometimes that have been leaked from data breaches. Some security researchers do this just to see, password complexity. What are the most common passwords? What are people using? Are they using? Look down at the keyboard if you're in front of it. Are you using QWERTY? So QWERTY is still a very popular password. And you can download this even from the I Have Been Pwned website. Like 12, if you look up in the top, I'm not sure if you can see my mouth's moving, but 12 gig of a plain text file of passwords. If you know how much text contains, it's like actually bits, right? It's a tiny amount of data. That is huge. It's a massive amount of passwords, but we use this for good. So what are the top risks that you're trying to mitigate by implementing a multi-factor authentication solution or secure access? We've got the points there. So let's get rid of compromised accounts. Let's mitigate risks of password reuse. And there's been non-stop phishing going on. I think you're all used to it. It's actually dropped down for me. I usually get about 3 or 4 SMSs a day. I just got one from FedEx. I know Cisco uses FedEx and they're sending me something, but I've got no idea if that's legitimate or not, and I'm not clicking on it. I want to go touch on a bit about compliance for Duo as a product and the ACC Essential 8. So we come out and say that we help assist in meeting the Essential 8 in patching operating system and patching applications. The reason why I say assist in them two categories is because we don't actually patch the OS or patch applications, but when you perform authentication to an application, we can actually tell if your device is out of date, whether your browser is out of date, the operating system, if your iOS device is jailbroken, does it have a PIN code? So we assist in these two, but where we play in meeting the Essential 8 is, of course, in multi-factor authentication. If you need more details about this, we do have a blog post that recently got published, and I'm writing more detailed engineering technical documents that need to go through a validation procedure. But we have that information. I'm happy to talk about that, especially from my experience of working in Canberra in public sector. So happy to chat more on that later. But good news. So we have built 3 additional data centers. So we have one, or the 3 new ones, Australia, Japan, and Singapore. Uh, which means that when you're talking about data being on sovereign soil for compliance reasons, that's a tick box for Duo. It's currently undergoing IRAP assessment. That can't happen fast enough for us, but I'm not going to throw a date out there. I just get the more of the gut feel it's going to be in sometime in the new year. But there's not complications on the Duo side, but getting the IRAP assessors and getting it has proven difficult in, I guess, yeah, during the pandemic. 2022 roadmap means more data centers are going to be deployed as well in the UK and India. More on compliance, there's an actual document that goes into the actual controls to each of these compliance requirements, whether it's NIST or PCI. We can go through them one, but we have a document that goes through one by one the controls and how we comply. I'll post a link. I should have had a link in here, but if you want the slides, I'll include that and we'll PDF that out to you. All right, another Slido quiz. So just curious what your thoughts are on why organizations are implementing multi-factor authentication. So it's not, or what are your customers saying to you? Yeah. So public sector, it's all about. I see a lot recently customers coming because it's for the compliance of regulatory requirements, especially in Canberra. It's around the Essential 8 and meeting multi-factor authentication requirements. All right, I'm going to move on. So thanks for the participation. That's some good insights. Oh, we've got more. It's just updated. All right, thanks. We've got more people joining. And none of these answers are incorrect because if we look at even the Essential 8 maturity model, it's all about a risk-based approach to securing your environment or mitigating attacks. So on to Duo. All right, so that was all zero trust. I'm going to see how we're doing on time as well. I think we're doing okay. So I want to talk about Duo, how really Duo helped us achieve zero trust, especially within Cisco, and how Duo helps everyone achieve zero trust. And it goes, I guess, step one. So we establish trust in the user identity. So credential theft remains a huge risk factor. So to mitigate against this, you need strong authentication, and this is where multi-factor is essentially like the bare bones that you need to implement. And everyone thinks Duo as an MFA product, it's a lot more than that. So these are the 5 points I want you to really take away and weave in, I guess, into your story when you're talking about customers. So number 2, evaluate the trustworthiness of the user's device. So it's a known device. What is the security posture of that device? So poor security posture leads to breached devices, and so we want to mitigate against that. So enforce access policies for user and device combination. So we're looking at the authorization aspect. So we want to authorize both the device and the user together. So if I steal your device, there's no risk there because you still got the user portion because it needs a combination of both to access. So we want to enable secure connections from authorized users and devices to all applications. And to all applications, that doesn't matter if it's on premise or on the cloud. We want to protect all apps and have that same user experience of connecting them to them applications, whether they're internal apps or cloud or SaaS-based apps. And last, we examine the user and device activity to detect anomalies and act. So this plays into the zero trust portion, where we want to see if them like time of day scenarios, all of a sudden you're trying to authenticate from Australia, and the next thing you know, 30 minutes later, you're authenticating from Singapore, you're authenticating from a new device, a new location. All of them things raise an alarm within Duo, so we know that's an abnormal user behavior. So they're the 5 key takeaways. Do we have any questions so far on that? I know that was very, very high level and abstract, but I want to get into VPNless. And we talked about a hybrid workforce and how we're kind of transforming the way we connect to applications, the user experience of connecting to them applications, and the way we work is totally different. How the common question that, well, actually I spoke with Brett before about the hybrid workforce is that one of the things we love about Duo is making that user experience seamless because of course, you can use a secure tunnel, whether that's a VPN or any sort of cloud on-ramp to access cloud or an internal-based on-prem application. But that user experience may differ. And what happens if I want to access that application from my mobile phone, for example, because I'm out on the road camping because it's Christmas holidays and I just want to check something. Based on my access policy, I could potentially do that with a BYOD device phone because I'm meeting one. It's a BYOD device, so maybe the access policy says you're allowed to use BYOD to access that application, but I've authenticated to it with user auth. I've got the push notification, so MFA is a tick, but there's also device hygiene that is done on the mobile device as well. I'm going to show you how we do that at Cisco. So I'd like to ask a question. How do you prefer connecting to corporate assets? Do you always want to go over a VPN or that story I said before, like any SaaS application, you want to do it like VPNless so you don't have to fire up that VPN every time you want to access it? Or we had one engineer on the call. Are you an engineer and you're like, hey, I need a VPN. I need to connect to everything. I need SSH. I need RDP. I just need access to all the backend devices. There we go. It looks like it takes a few seconds. And I think there's legitimate reasons why some people may like over a VPN. I know personally at Cisco, if I'm browsing the internet, I'd never do unwork related stuff at work, but if I'm browsing, say, some internet sites, I choose to go direct and disconnect the VPN. My speed's faster, the user experience for collaboration for video conferences is a lot faster, and that has been a bit of a problem with VPN concentrators as we move to the work from home. So I'll touch on that. I found this report as I was searching. 64% of workers say, if they can't work from home, they're going to walk. So this is about Cisco, right? So that's what our employees said. No idea where this survey was taken. I'm not sure if Anthony, I didn't do the survey. Anthony's on the line. I'm not sure if Anthony did this survey. I didn't, but it's just a huge number, right? The hybrid work is where we're transitioning to, and people don't want to go back to a physical office for whatever reasons they may have. So what are the drivers to moving to a VPNless architecture? Talked about the infrastructure overload on your VPN concentrators. Right? You might have seen, and this is the throughput that's going in to the VPN concentrator that it has to support, and then the actual internet bandwidth that your network on-prem needs to support. We don't see the granular security that you get in VPNs. I know I've worked at Cisco, so I know, yes, I can have an ASA VPN concentrator. I can use ICE and use scalable group tags in the back end to secure that, dynamic ACLs, etc. There are ways to secure it, but it's hard. We can do granular security per application in Duo, which has led Cisco as a company to a VPNless architecture, and the user experience is key. I'm not going to dive in to this diagram. But what I want to do is show you what all this is about. So this diagram is from Cisco. So this is what we've done to access our on-prem applications internally. So this was pivotal for us to move to a zero trust architecture. We had the same complications as I mentioned before on the previous slide. We had the hybrid workforce. People didn't want to connect to the VPN. User experience was poor. Cisco IT spends, they release a number to us, but we spend a lot of money in help desk tickets on password management. So that's resetting passwords, password lockouts, etc. It is a nightmare, and Cisco IT would like to see that go away, and I'll talk about that with Passwordless coming up. But I'll show you what we do. So at Cisco, and this is all underpinned by Duo's architecture. With what we call the Duo Network Gateway. So this is the actual appliance. So this can be, it's a Docker image, or you can spin it up in AWS. So this is the network gateway that's essentially going to give me access to my internal applications. But let me show you what that looks like. So Duo has a single sign-on portal. I go to borderless.cisco.com. Type in my email address to sign in and my password. And everyone's counting the keystrokes to make sure I'm a security guy with a secure password. So so there's my last pass. What is it doing now? So as you can see, so we're checking the security of my device. I actually have an application installed called the Duo Device Health app. I'm going to show that in a minute. All right. That shouldn't be happening, but this is why we love live demos and putting the speaker into the hot seat. That is interesting. I think it just wasn't loaded. I've been having some issues with this machine. All right, I'm just going to open the app. So what's just happened, if you caught a glimpse of that device health application, it was checking to ensure that was installed on my machine, going through to make sure I had a password on my machine. I had file encryption or whole disk encryption, as well as a firewall enabled. And that is the first check. Once that check is done, that I have a valid machine, that my operating system is up to date. The second is I've received a push notification on my mobile phone. And the similar checks are being done. Is my iOS device, is it jailbroken? Does it have biometrics enabled? Does it have a PIN code enabled? Is it using the latest iOS? And I can talk about the latest iOS vulnerabilities that have come out. In regards to Cisco, you actually couldn't connect to our network. I think they gave like a 5-day limit that you had to update your iOS device. Otherwise, you just simply couldn't connect to some of these applications. So I've joined Cisco's Borderless. So this is our single sign-on portal. And this allows me, or gives me visibility of every application or almost every application I can access in Duo. Now, if you look through these, you probably can't, I can tell, but you may not be able to tell which ones are on-prem applications or which ones are cloud-based applications. So my user experience is going to be exactly the same. You can see some of the cloud-based applications because their logo might not just be Cisco. So before we implemented this, I was constantly hitting this connect button, authenticating to the VPN with my username and password, doing the single sign-on as well, getting a push notification for MFA to my phone, and I am just so glad that we've moved, I guess, to this zero trust architecture approach using Duo and the Duo network gateway to access these internal applications. So that's how we do it in the back end, and we started off with 20 applications. We did the deployment in 5 months. You can do it a lot quicker. We've had think who was it? 40,000 customers over a weekend. So you got everything squared away. It's usually enrollment. You can spin it up relatively quickly, but we went from 20 applications to over 100 now being enrolled at Cisco. And I'm not sure if Anthony's there, but if he can attest, but the whole user experience is a lot better. All right. Any questions on that? Q&A. Brett, do we have any questions at the moment?
We don't, but nobody's actually positioned any questions. And but also people, if you do want to ask a question, you can also do it through Slido as well. So just be aware you've got the chat window here, and you also got Slido where you can ask questions also.
Nice. Won't talk about this because we just did. So, but the Duo Network Gateway, that's that pivotal piece of technology that's giving access to the internal applications. Brett and I spoke before this meeting, and he said, he actually asked a really good question. We almost should have recorded that conversation, Brett. So we're talking about about, I guess, whether you call them secure internet gateway providers. If you call them cloud on-ramps, if you call it the zero trust network architectures that are coming out. The biggest difference I see why customers love the Geo Network Gateway is it's primarily about the user experience. Like I said, the user experience doesn't change, whether it's BYOD device, a corporate device. We're still doing that MFA to verify the user. We're still doing the device hygiene and health checks, and we've still got ways to identify if it's a BYOD device or corporate owned device and have granular policies per application, per Active Directory group as well. For example, different ways we can enforce different authenticators that you can use. So it creates it really granular and creates a really streamlined experience, whether I'm using any other tunnel out there, I might have to have an agent installed, still do username and password, still do an MFA auth, but has a device health check done, prior to auth. That is all about that zero trust architecture.
Here's a question for you, Jason. Um, do you have to sign in to each app to set it up?
To to set, so I can take that two ways. So do you have to sign into each app to set up Duo? That could
That's
be
why
from
I'd take it as, yeah.
Yeah, an administration point. So let's go to the administration point of view. I might show this. So highlight. So not just because I work for Duo, I believe Duo has the best documentation I've seen in a long time. If I go to Duo Docs and if I choose an application, let's I don't know why I picked Salesforce, but I've been on it all morning. We have detailed installation guides on how to protect an application. To walk through that, usually if it's a SAML-based app, you just put in the shared secret keys to establish that. Um, Documentation is there for a lot of the larger space or the largest applications that you commonly see throughout the workforce. That includes even things if it's Radius as well. The Radius for your on-premise apps. I won't dwell on that, but there's videos, there's step-by-step guides on how to enroll an application. So I can interpret that question in a second way as well. So I'm an organization. I've just enrolled Salesforce. I've just secured Radius, whether it's for whatever system still using Radius. As a user, how do I administer that? So we have a few ways you can enroll. I guess the first one is via an API. So if you wanted to customize or automate that enrollment, there's an email enrollment. So I receive an email in my inbox. I need to click a link. I might have that um, up here already. So I need to click a link to enroll, or I've deployed and secured that application. I'm a user accessing that application for the first time. If my username or AD username is in that right policy group, and I can just auto enroll, right? I've typed in my username and password, that's verified. I can start adding, whether it's my phone, whether it's a YubiKey, I can add that as an authentication method. So there's multiple ways as a user to enroll. So I hope we we addressed all three there.
I think you've got all your bases covered.
Another great conversation Brett and I had actually. So I won't go on. Why do people buy Duo? Why do people buy Duo when I can get free MFA out in the marketplace? We've got three editions of Duo, and yeah, I'll be honest. It's hard to complete on the bottom end of Duo, which so we've got Duo MFA, Duo Access, and Duo Beyond. Duo MFA can be hard to compete with. Free, right? Why should I move? People do, right? I'll touch on what I've got shown up here, but I've said it a few times. It's a user experience. Um, it's seamless. It's the same as ever. I don't need to be worried about the VPN. I can access that internal application just like it's any SaaS-based application. I haven't highlighted it here, but it's user experience. Oh, it's in lower TCO, but the user experience is as well, not only for the user, but administrators. I'll touch on why that's important going down below. So granular access policies. So I can create access policies per application, per AD, username or per AD user group and be granular in that sense. I've seen a lot of MFA providers that once you set an application policy, that application policy is for every application in your environment. You can't put in, sub clauses for if you're a privileged admin, I want you to use a YubiKey only, and you can't use push authentication. You can't get that granular. Verification. We see a lot of just plain MFA. They don't do anything around device hygiene and device trust. So when I said we can differentiate between a BYOD device or corporately owned device, back to the granular level of policy, Jason can access, I don't know, his email with any BYOD device he chooses to. But if I access Salesforce because it has customer data, it has, special numbers in there that for our forecasting, etc. Well, that's kind of restricted. So Jason should only authenticate using his corporately owned device. So that's device trust. Risk-based auth I talked about. Am I coming from a new location, a different device, all them sort of signals that we interpret that could be, raise an alarm for risk-based authentication. Lower TCO. So I talked about the admins. We commonly hear some platforms are a nightmare to manage, right? So if you're an administrator and you have to use and deploy it, we commonly see people throw their hands up and say it's too hard. So when customers come to me and say, I've already got MFA, Jason, go away, we don't want to talk to you, you've got to ask them additional questions. All right. I guess the ones I always ask are you, you know, are you securing all applications? And I was like, oh, no, we're only securing, our highly sensitive applications. All right. So are you using MFA for users across the whole environment? It's like, oh, no, we just have a subset of admins. So they say they've got MFA, but they haven't deployed it widely. They haven't deployed it for every user. They haven't deployed it across every application because one, it's too hard. It's too hard to administer. Users complain because they don't like the user experience. They can't use various tokens sometimes. There's a whole range of reasons why even Duo MFA, where I said it's hard, we still win, and we still compete in our lowest tier of straight MFA, even when there's free options out there. I'll hopefully jump into the dashboard, but we're just clicking checkboxes and radio buttons. You've seen the documentation. Duo's got that hosted SSO portal that I showed before, and I think they're probably the biggest reasons. Ask more questions. That's cloud managed. Um, Duo is on-prem in Australia. That data doesn't leave sovereign soil. Our backup redundancy doesn't, migrate to Singapore or anything like that, which is a huge tick box for public sector banking and finance as well. Sorry, that was a huge mouthful. You can probably see I'm passionate about this. Um, and yeah, I was an engineer who loved Duo, and that's the reason I'm actually here in this role. I'm not going to go through this. There's actual documentation, publicly available documentation Duo has on why Duo versus traditional 2FA. This is a work in progress. So we had I wasn't going to share this, but it was all partners. I thought it was relevant, but I did have a public sector customer running. I'm not going to say the name, right? We don't want to bash anyone. Oh, I've got it up there. I was going to say I'm not going to mention the competitor. Um, so they're up there. I shot myself. I should have looked at this more, but they had Microsoft for a year. Same thing. Go away, Jason. We've got Microsoft. Don't need Duo. They actually reached out to me and just said, "Hey, we've got some complications. We want to trial Duo," and I've recorded a list of some of the reasons why they chose Duo. They actually chose Duo Beyond rather than Microsoft, and the biggest one was around usability. And there's some factors that you can see up here. I might have to modify this slide, sorry, Brett, before I send it all out. But
That's
it
all
just
right.
goes to show. It just goes to show there is ways we can differentiate and compete. That's the reason why myself, Anthony, and Carl was the specialists to help you out on them details and to articulate the value proposition of Duo to help you land that sale. I won't go through this, and so this is probably a good one because it's based on the other side, just condensed down. So where Microsoft, I guess, could improve. So coverage of on-premise applications was limited. You kind of in a Microsoft world there. What do you do with SSH, for example, and some other on-prem applications? Device visibility wasn't native to Microsoft, and it requires you to run Intune. I know some people that love Intune. I know some people that have different thoughts about managing Intune, but you need that. Um, it's free, right? But if you get down into the nitty gritty and the weeds, it's the pricing model is complex because when you start expanding out Microsoft Authenticate into the environment, this is sometimes, depending on what level, like you need Windows Hello for Business. Well, there's another service, there's another box that you need to deploy, install, manage, etc. So there's some caveats within that, right? It's not as simple as say, I have free MFA and I'm going to. So that question about are you deploying MFA across all your applications? That's why it's fundamentally important because, yeah, there's some stuff under the rug, hiding there. Yeah, you got to ask the right questions. The authentication options. Duo has a lot of authentication options. I didn't have that slide up, but there's everything from YubiKeys, push notifications, hardware tokens. I don't recommend using SMS and voice because there's ways to bypass or compromise that pretty easily. Why Duo? So you want full coverage. So we've talked about full coverage of applications on and off-prem. TCO, it's hard to justify total cost of ownership when I talked about the user experience, the admin experience, but what we typically do to highlight TCO within Duo, we talk a lot about help desk tickets. Like we'll do, 20,000 users within the space of a couple of weeks, and we'll have one or two help desk tickets like that. Unless you're in that side of the fence, you don't realize how important and how monumentous that number is compared to the help desk tickets organizations are receiving every day. It's one thing to ask, what's the user experience like? How many help desk tickets? What's managing passwords like, etc. And a better user experience, cool documentation. Like I said, the whole Cisco team and Duo team is here to support you.
Hey Jason, sorry, I've had a few struggle. I've only just been able to unmute myself. Sorry. There is a question. Do you have a comparison with Octo?
You know what? There's probably I don't know. I'll take that offline. I I I I said I've said this to Anthony. I've said to a few. I don't like talking about technology comparisons one to one. I'm an architect. I like understanding your use case, the requirements, the customer's outcome, the deliverables, and see if Duo's the right fit for the technology. Do we meet all of your requirements and tick them boxes? That's more meaningful conversation. I'm sure we have battle cards and there's collateral out there. Like I said, there's Duo versus traditional MFA documentation available. We'll check out the partner portal and come back to you. But I've just find when you get down to my personal opinion, you can say, Jace, just give me what I want. That's fine. But when we're getting down to the ones and zeros, it doesn't. I don't see the value there. At times, I want to solve that problem and help the customer solve that problem. And I'm happy to say, hey, Mr. Customer, Duo is not the right fit for you, and maybe it is another solution that you need. I think that provides a lot more value. I'm here for the customer. It provides a lot more value when you put yourself in their shoes and understand their business and their requirements. So we'll get back to you. I'll shut up on that. Just my two cents. I wanted to talk about Duo Care, our premium support. The questions. So first one, this is not a hands-on keyboard service. So we're not trying to so as a partner, we'll work hand in hand with you across the deployment. We can give you the Duo Care team will give you advice. They'll give you best practices, strategies, so they can work with you in that initial Duo deployment and give you them skills that you need. So we're not trying to take away, I guess, any of the professional services as a partner that you may wish to deploy. All right, we're coming up. Keep the questions coming in. I'm gonna Duo passwordless. I want to mention this. This is going to be the biggest shift that we've seen with passwordless finally coming into fruition. And I'm going to skip over on how bad passwords are. I think we all know this, and I've said it at times, whether it's password reuse, weak passwords, the amount of help desk tickets organizations need for password related issues. That's an expense, right? I talk about that because that's an expense to the organization. But why are we seeing passwordless coming in today, right? We're not the only provider providing passwordless. I think it's making big news, but what we've seen is why passwordless? The ubiquity of smartphones. We've seen the improvement and prevalence of biometrics. So the combination of biometrics, the combination of using public key cryptography has actually seen passwordless come where we can actually implement it today. So I'm going to throw a question out there and hopefully give you a little demo. It is passwordless. There's not too much in there, but when I talk about passwordless, there are some concerns about it. I'm just curious if you've thought about passwordless. What are your concerns? One of the ones I commonly hear is, hey, I'm using a biometric now. My biometric is now in the cloud. It's now with someone else. It's actually not the case, but it's a common misconception with what passwordless does. I think as an industry, we need to be better at communicating that, and we will. But All right, I'm going to skip through this because I want to do a quiz as well because I've got lots of Duo swag I'd like to empty out my cupboards at home with and give to you all. If you'd like, cool green shirts. I was going to show you a passwordless demo. And like I said, it's passwordless. There's not much to show, but I might just start off by going here. So if you haven't seen this site, this is demo.duo.com. If you want, these are just wireframe demos. Anyone can log in, can access this and provide a demo to your customer quickly and easy, no matter what position you're in. I know the engineering guys like Jason, shut up, just give me an account I can log into. But I won't go through the registration, but I'll give you an idea of using Windows Hello on where passwordless is taking us. So I'm going to log into Box. So I just type in my username, click on next. My camera just popped up and said, yep, is that Lee, not Jason. We'll click OK, and I'm logged in. You'll have the SSO portal to do this if you want multiple applications. Passwords have now moved away. We're still doing the device health check. We can still differentiate between device trust, that BYOD or corporate device, so that all them checks are in place. But we've just got I can't wait for this to come out. Julie Canepa from Cisco IT, fantastic speaker. She talks at a lot of events. She might even have some recordings from Cisco Live. So she's the CTO for Cisco IT, and I actually heard her just say the other week, she's like, I can't wait for passwordless to come in. They can't push it and drive it fast enough within Cisco for us to adopt it, because she's been sick of dealing with, hey, now you need 8-character passwords, now you need 10, now you need uppercase, lowercase, and special characters, and now password resets. She's like, I can't wait for this to be over. So we'll see passwordless being deployed at Cisco very soon. So again, you can learn from us, being an organization with over 120,000 users, I think now, in over 80 countries, on how we do this at such a large scale. I'm going to wrap up, and actually, if there's any questions, we're going through this. We'll try and end on time for you. We've got 3 minutes. Where am I at? I'm going to skip this and go to the quiz. So hopefully, I'm not sure if there's join the quiz. Maybe it's the same logon. I'm not sure. Please use
Yep,
your
it is. Yep. So it's migrated over to that page. There we go. Got some names popping up.
Awesome. Please use your real name and not a pseudonym, because I want to send you some stuff. Please email me. I'll get Anthony perhaps to drop my email in the chat. If you, I don't know, what do we call it? The top 3, top 4, top 5. Maybe it's like Oprah Winfrey today. Everyone wins a prize. Just send me what position you came, and your address, and I'll send that to you, whether it's a PO box, your work address, or your home address, whatever.
I'll help get the names to you.
Beautiful. Whatever you guys and girls would like me to send to. So, all right, I think we can kick it off. So, housekeeping rules on this is a 15-second time limit. I'm assuming everything in this quiz is something I did mention today. I did throw some things to fool some people up. So let's take it away. So number 1, zero trust assumes what? All right, let's see if we fooled anyone up. Yeah, so zero trust, there is no implicit trust. So there's no implicit trust because you're on the network. There's no implicit trust because you're on a corporate device, etc. You've heard me say it 100 times, but don't trust, always verify, like them 2 answers we had in the word cloud before. All right, I might go with the top 5. Top 5 people get something sent from Duo. So zero trust is zero trust a relatively new concept? True or false? No, we did fool some people up. It's old, right? Even remember that first slide we were back in the
94.
90s. Yeah, so it's been around for a long time. It's just been, I guess, like I said, with NIST, I feel anyway, with NIST, the final draft coming out, yeah, it's more prevalent, and we have more technologies that are supporting it. So we've changed the leaderboard. I hope I didn't trick too many people up there. So I did mention this one. What technology brought passwordless into the mainstream? So there's two correct answers here. Yes, so it wasn't. It was definitely biometrics, because we're moving to things like something we are fingerprints, Face ID, and public key cryptography, because we've got to rely on certificates a lot and encryption to transport them biometrics. So we missed a duo. I'm not sure if that's Anthony. Does Anthony win a prize or not? So
No, that's not me, Jason.
all right. Next one, does Duo have an Australian DC, or Duo has an Australian DC, true or false? So DC data center. Just to get rid of the acronyms. We hate acronyms now. Yes! You're all listening. Thank you. It is true. All right, so what is the name of Duo's secure access gateway that achieves VPNless? I threw some terms around here. It's actually the Duo Network Gateway. Some people, when we talk to customers, say it's a secure access gateway. So I tried playing with them terms. So I know we're throwing you off a bit there, but DNG we call it internally, because we love acronyms at Cisco and in the IT world. All right. What threat associated with NIST's zero trust architecture was discussed in relation to MFA? So all of them answers were actually in threats associated with NIST zero trust architecture. They were actually in the document, but I only spoke about one. And the one I did speak about was the stolen credentials and the insider threat. So if you chose denial of service, maybe that was a bit of a slip of the finger trying to get in there fast. I think that's it. That's it. All right, I'm going to screen. Actually, can I get some to...
Yep, all done.
Done. We're going to send you some goodies. I've got some cups. I've got some shirts. That'll be making your way in the post. And yeah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. You're welcome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for participating. I'm losing my voice, so I don't usually speak for this long.
Understandable. I have been told I have been told who Duo is. It's someone from our side, and Duo is his legal name. So there we go.
Sorry, my apologies, but we need to hire you. Hey, I'm Duo from Duo.
That'll be an interesting Cisco email address, duo at...
Exactly.
It would be. All right. I should just add before we wrap this up that again, Cisco Duo isn't available on the cloud marketplace as of yet. It will be at the very start of next year. However, it is purchasable by sending an email to quotes@ingrammicro.com, and they'll be able to provide pricing, get you basically answer any request, and yeah, it's as easy as getting a quote and then placing an order at orders@ingrammicro.com, and away you go. No certifications needed. It's pretty straightforward. Thank you very much for jumping on.
Thanks, Brad. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. See you.